As we noted, or we released last night, but let me reiterate for all of you here, Deputy Secretary Burns met briefly with Iranians on the margins of the P5+1 meeting in Vienna, separate from the trilateral meeting. It was a brief on the margins. It was separate from the discussions and the negotiations that are ongoing. They discussed the need to support inclusivity in Iraq and the need to refrain from pressing a sectarian agenda. In terms of where we go from here, we're open to continuing our engagement with the Iranians, just as we are engaging with other regional players on the threat posed by ISIL in Iraq. It is likely those discussions would happen at a lower level, and we don't expect further conversations with Iran on this issue in Vienna. Those talks will focus on the nuclear issue for the remainder of the week.
So you don't expect more conversations with the Iranians on Iraq in Vienna?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Well, where would they take place? Where would the next ones take place?
Well,
and
again,
how soon?
I would caution anyone from overly formalizing what this is. We're engaging with a range of countries in the region who are concerned about the stability of Iraq and the impact on the region. That's what this was, briefly on the margins. What it will mean moving forward, I think, is yet to be determined, but it's not the launch of a formal process or anything along those lines.
How brief was brief?
I don't have a number of specific minutes for you, but I think the emphasis on that...
Half an hour, less than half an hour?
I don't have a specific number of minutes. The reason we portrayed that... The reason I used that term is because obviously there were several hours of meetings on the nuclear issue, and this was just simply on the sidelines.
Presumably, even to engage in this limited interaction with the Iranians on this issue, the U.S. government feels that it holds some hope of a productive outcome. So explain for us wherein those hopes reside. What exactly is it you think the Iranians could do that would be useful here, given their track record?
Well, James, I mentioned this yesterday, but it's worth repeating. We're not talking about military cooperation or military coordination. In fact, we don't think that the focus should be on the military component in Iraq. But clearly, any country that can make the argument that there needs to be unity and the sectarian tensions that have been flaming in Iraq are harmful to the stability is one we would feel is useful. That is the message that was sent from our end.
And has Iran in the past, in recent memory, demonstrated that particular inclination?
Well, you're familiar with our concerns about Iran's actions and behavior in the past. There is a shared concern. There is a concern that they have expressed publicly about the stability of Iraq and the impact of ISIL. That was the reason why there was a brief engagement on this yesterday.
Is it about hope that Iran can be helpful, or is it more about laying out what your red lines are when it comes to what Iran's role is in Iraq and how that affects your view of what's going on in Syria?
Well, it's really neither. This is a country that also has a concern about the stability of Iraq. Therefore, we felt it made sense to have a discussion. How that takes place in the future will determine in the future.